Shore Club.
$6 burger night.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, it's not gonna be able to be delivered tonight. Let me get you on the phone then. Okay, say something, we're on the speaker.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Better? Okay, Tim, we're good.
Good.
Be sure to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I will. Thanks.
Call to order. This is the regular meeting, city council meeting of Monday, September 21st, 2020. Time's flying when you're having fun. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And you may be seated. Start with item 1, a joint public hearing with Planning Commission. Chris Leonard.
Hang on, Mr. Mayor and members of council, I would like to make a motion that we table 1C, item 1C.
I have a motion to table 1C. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It is tabled. We got an aye from Alicia also. Okay, now we'll do the joint public hearing with Chris Leonard.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are 2 items left on our agenda for our joint public hearing. The first item, item 1A on the agenda, is an amendment to the zoning code, Article 10, Section 19-165, permissible uses and specific exclusions. This specifically relates to animal regulations. And I'll give you a summary of the regulation, then we'll open that portion up for public comment. And we'll close that portion for public comment, and then we'll go to the second item. Okay, a summary of that. Currently, the city has very limited regulations on the keeping of animals of any kind. And so we've gone through and looked at some different areas that we thought we could enhance in the zoning code. And the highlights of that are specifically, we're adding some regulations that support the keeping of chickens and other domestic fowl, but adding some requirements as to how that should be done within the city. We've had some clarifications of the definitions of livestock when we've prohibited the keeping of what is working livestock, horses, swine, right? We've clarified the regulations for the keeping of domestic pets, formally linking those regulations here in the city to those that are done by York County. We've established some new regulations that allow beekeeping in the city with some very specific controls designed for urban beekeeping to minimize any potential nuisance, and we would establish the city as a bird sanctuary. And so there's a markup version of that. People should have been able to view that on the website. With that, I'll open that portion of the ordinance change to public comment. And I don't know if I haven't seen the sign-in sheet.
Chris, right here, if you want to take this one.
This doesn't designate if anybody was interested in putting any public comment for item 1A, the amendment to the zoning code, section 19-165. Anybody? Council?
I have a couple, Chris. Mainly, my questions are kind of around if there's any grandfather clauses, specifically, for those who already have poultry and coops in their yard, if they already have a rooster, if they need to go back and then get permits for the structures that they already have in place, and then a limit to the amount of birds on their property as well. I didn't see anything in how it was laid out in the new ordinance, so I just wanted to see what you all had thought about that.
Sure, I'll do the second part of it first.
Okay.
We did establish some quantity of fowl regulations that are based on the size of the accessory structure you're allowed to have on your property. And we've provided for minimum floor space, if you will, for
Yeah.
each fowl. And that the accessory structure will then get defined by setbacks of the property. So if you had a large property, you could have more.
Right.
Most of the properties in TKK will probably be limited to 4 or 5 or 6.
Okay. So it was like 2 feet per chicken,
It's,
and then,
I think it starts at 8 for the first one and
Right.
gets smaller as you get denser.
okay. So technically unlimited, but based on space of your yard.
That's correct.
Okay.
As far as grandfather, and I'll defer a little bit to staff, we've put no specific grandfather clauses in because typically zoning regulations are grandfathered.
Correct,
Right?
correct. So if they've already got a structure, they've already got X number, then they would be able to retain that. If they make changes, that's when they would have to come into compliance. With
Roosters
whatever
were
the
never
existing
allowed,
code
right?
is.
The city, we've always
We never
allowed
had
them by
anything about it.
regulation.
We've suggested they not, but our code didn't speak to whether they could or could not.
Right.
So now it doesn't allow for it.
Right, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I do not believe there are any in the city because of the city's guidance to
Yeah.
perspective.
None that I'm aware of.
Right.
And how about the little pet mini pigs? I know livestock,
So with,
there's a couple of them in the city.
with our definitions, we believe we've clarified that there is working livestock and domestic pets. So people with pot-bellied pigs, those are domestic pets.
Okay.
If you've got a pig that you're raising to smoke a pork shoulder on Saturday, that's not gonna be allowed. So we believe through our definitions, we've handled that.
And we would like to be invited over. Just throwing that out there.
Everybody's welcome.
Any other questions, Gus? Anything? None from council?
All right, so we will close public comment on item 1A. Second item is 1B, which is an amendment to the zoning code, ordinance 77, 19-401 fences in residential and park districts. We have recommended a set of changes with 3 potential highlight areas, and there's some technical detail behind it. We've eliminated the so-called shadow box style fences, which have always been allowed in the city. They're kind of a pseudo privacy fence, and otherwise privacy fences are not allowed. And we've done that by establishing opacity guidelines that guide how you must be able to see through a fence. We've established some new regulations for fences along what's called the secondary frontage of a corner lot. So it's not the front yard, but the side yard that abuts the street. So that we've reduced the maximum height from 6 foot to 5 foot and establishing some new setback requirements, essentially requiring those fences to be set back from the street frontage 10 feet. And we've eliminated certain fence styles that have potentially dangerous top surfaces. Those are the 3 main areas of fence change. We believe those changes will still allow residents to use standard construction materials. It'll allow them to use secondary natural screening if they want additional privacy in the area of fences. And it should also retain any of the construction standards, primarily safety standards related to pools and spas. Those should all be maintained through these changes. So with that, I'll open it up to public comment. There's 3 people signed up. You'll have 3 minutes. Come to the microphone, state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes. Susan will run the clock. Amy Jo Dexton, have I got that right? Denton. Amy Jo?
Good evening, Planning Commissioners, Council. I'm actually coming on behalf of the Board of Zoning Adjustment. It just happens that as of August, our last meeting, we did have a fencing case. And if you're not aware, the particular address was 1356 Stonecrest Boulevard. Mr. Ali came to see us about his fence. And while I just really wanted to come this evening to let you know or make you aware how that meeting specifically went, I believe that there were several people on the board who felt that Mr. Ali had a case. However, if we were to follow, which of course we were, the findings of fact and our 5-pronged test, there was not really anything that we could do in terms of granting him a variance, even though there were several, I think, on the board who felt that, in fact, he did have a reason to request a variance, and one probably should have been considered for him. But based on that 5-pronged test, there wasn't a way for us to allow for that. At least I certainly didn't feel so. We did ultimately agree with the staff findings. Wanted to make you aware of this. In this particular case, the location, if you're not familiar, is close to the city limit line, and thus the county property that is neighboring, which was one of, not the only, but one of the impetuses for him putting up a fence, was safety, security, and sight views out of his property across to the county line, where there was other property that is not held to the same standards as TEK's. So based on that, but unfortunately, we couldn't make an exception based on the 5-prong test. So I wanted to make you aware of this, and I'm not sure how that falls into line with the new standards, but we certainly feel like we need to take that under consideration.
Ms.
Thank you.
Denton? Oh,
Yes.
you're here. That was a privacy fence, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
That is,
Okay.
and like I said, there were more than one particular sort of impetus, and there were more than one issue with his fence. Privacy fence was, of course, the type. Yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Amy Jo. Natasha Wall, you come up and state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes.
Natasha Wall, 7542 Thorn Creek Lane. So I just wanted to come enter some comments on behalf of someone who is a corner lot owner. And we are actually in the midst of getting a new fence and kind of considering all of these. So first and foremost, I want to say, you know, as someone, we have a fence that we inherited. It's way too close to the sidewalk. It's a large corner lot, and it creates a lot of issues with our dogs. So, and, you know, I do applaud, I think that moving fence lines back is very reasonable, and definitely on our list of things that we want to consider. The safety issues, as someone who's had a deer impaled upon my fence, I also totally agree with that. The only thing that I would like to just add for consideration, we have a dog who's a rescue, and she's a great dog, but she loves fence fighting. And unfortunately, 2 very large parts of my fence that are very public. And, you know, with the pedestrian traffic in this neighborhood, I have kids coming off the buses. They love to stick their face in my fence. They like to stick their hands in my fence. People like to bring their dogs up to my fence. I just had somebody's dog jump into my fence the other day. And to me, that's a safety issue on my part, you know, and to the point where we've actually talked to a lawyer who was also advising us to move the fence line back, but to also consider a privacy fence for really the protection of us as homeowners. And I do appreciate the aesthetic side of it. I really do. I would just really like to have some consideration for being able to maintain a privacy fence in certain circumstances. Like, I don't want to give my dog away, but I do want to protect my property and my family and the safety and interest of my family. I don't want to ruin the aesthetics of the neighborhood, but that is a consideration for us. So I just wanted to put that in for public record. Thank you.
All right.
Sorry, could you tell me your name again? I didn't hear.
Natasha Wall.
Wall?
Thank you, Natasha. Carl Schaefer? Carl, you want to come up?
Certainly.
Name, address?
Carl Schaefer,
3 minutes.
7769 Trail Ridge Drive. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to say a thank you for the changes that have been proposed. I believe they are in line with what my concerns were, mainly where 3 or more corner lots, especially in my neighborhood, face each other. Natasha's a different situation. We're actually neighbors. We're great friends. She's kind of at the end on a corner lot at a T, but there's a very bad situation where there's potential for 4 and actually even 5 corner lots right next to each other. So I think the proposed changes that we've talked through look really good. Definitely, you know, in terms of people concerned about safety of dogs and things like that, I think, you know, providing landscaping and things like that, which is talking about how you can have a more or a less opaque fence, if you will, but still gain some privacy by doing some plantings, hedgerows, things like that. I think those are all good thoughts. So, like I said, I've read through the changes, and I think they're good, and I hope they will pass through. I'm also, on a side note, the Lakeshore ARC is definitely going through a bit of a shakeup, which we are the second, I think, largest land area in terms of all these zoned neighborhoods. So I'm also looking to get onto the ARC to help I know it's a separate process in terms of design guidelines. It's not by code. It's more recommendations and trying to keep the neighborhoods feeling the same or a good flavor of where the neighborhood should feel. And my main concern is just to keep TKK beautiful at the end of the day. So I think these changes are in line with that.
So the bottom line, you've seen all the changes and you're okay with them?
So far, as I probably could read them another 1 or 2 times. They're quite extensive, but I feel like it's more in the vein of what the Lakeshore ARC had in mind all along when 3 years ago the code was changed. I think there was a little, this scenario didn't necessarily apply to corner lots and things like that. So applying some additional guidance, especially to corner lots, I think is very important. One of the ARC members basically said they inadvertently or maybe mistakenly approved some of these corner lot shadow box fences. It was really not really in the lines of what is in the ARC's documents.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Carl? Anyone else who didn't get a chance to sign up? Council, any questions, comments?
Thank you. You guys gonna stay here?
No, we're going to leave. Okay.
All right.
We'll close the public hearing then. Thank you, everyone.
We'll give them a moment to vacate, and we'll proceed on. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
So was Natasha okay with everything? No. Okay, I'm gonna call her back. I'll call her this week and talk to her about it. All right, so let's move on to item 2, special presentation. Start with the proclamation for Constitution Week. I'm gonna go ahead and read that from up here so I don't infect any of you guys out there. I know you won't be able to hear me with my mask on, so I'll just read. This is the proclamation for Constitution Week. Whereas September 17th, 2020 marks the 233rd anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week, now therefore be it proclaimed by the Mayor and Council of the City of TK, South Carolina, that the week of September 17th through 23rd shall be Constitution Week, and urge all citizens to study the Constitution and reflect on the privilege of being an American with the rights and responsibilities which the privilege involves. Signed this 21st day of September 2020, September 21, day of September 2020, okay? David O'Neill, Mayor, City of TK, South Carolina. Want to pass it down to Charlie? Next, we have the TK Golf Management Budget Presentation. Golf guys want to step forward?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I had the speech already for all the commission, all of the members.
Is that on?
Can everybody hear?
Yeah, I got you net.
Okay, is that
It's
all
just
right?
the mask, probably.
Probably the math, sorry. Thanks for having us tonight. We're excited. It's hard to believe we're into another fiscal year for the golf operations. Walk through a few things just from a historical perspective and kind of where we are. It's this year 13 since we started. First year, we had 27,770 rounds and did a total gross golf revenue of $1,045,000. This upcoming fiscal year, we have projected 32,042 rounds and total operations revenue of just slightly shy of $1.5 million. So the golf operations has really grown nicely over especially the last 5-6 years. We are now covering, as you all know, and thank you for approving the loans earlier in the year for the golf carts and the equipment. But including the Cove loan for the improvements we did on that 9 holes, we're currently covering $216,680 of loans for the golf operation that the revenue is covering those. Obviously, carts, equipment, Cove irrigation. And we've been able to increase now our reserve as a percentage of our revenue to 23%. So we're really excited about that as we continue to, even with this year, with the struggles we've had, with the 6 weeks during the COVID interruption, we're still able to grow that reserve, from a cash standpoint. We are continuing, obviously, to improve the asset is our best strategy with the golf course, and the infrastructure here at TGK is just phenomenal. To continue to improve that, continue with our strategy of the overall best experience in the market, condition, service, and price. That has been a winning formula, and we look forward to continuing that strategy. Obviously, continued growth in rounds and the per-round averages from a cost standpoint. Obviously, forward COVID-19 impacts are unknown. We are adjusting as we need to and as things change. And so we will continue to do that as we move forward. From a budget standpoint, again, we're just shy of $1.5 million in total revenue. Our operating expenses are $1,193,178. We're making the loan payments of $216,000, and so our goal and forecast is to transfer $88,856 to the reserve account at the end of the year, which would put us over 25% reserve, which is a fantastic benchmark, which you all and the city manager have asked us to try to accomplish. Golf course operation to continue to be self-supporting for the needs, continue the quality of the golf course conditions, a superior service level, continued growth in tournament and outing business. Obviously, this year that was very limited, but we're still working on booking those for when we have release to go full boat again. TGK, particularly with the Ballantyne closure coming up, that it puts us in a really good position for tournament and outing business. So
What is the Ballantyne closure?
They haven't set a final date, but it's this fall. Is it March now?
For repairs or
No.
completely closing?
Completely closing the resort.
Oh, wow.
Yep, they're gonna develop that property.
Apartments.
Maybe. Office building, apartments, all those good things.
Better
But it's a
than
great
us.
opportunity for us because outside of Ballantyne, I mean,
the competition at bay.
our footprint up here with the conference center and the clubhouse and pavilion are unmatched.
Right.
So we look to take strong advantage of that
Great.
when that happens. And we've already been in touch with all those folks, and Fergal is good friends with the tournament person there who's given us a whole notebook of leads.
Awesome.
Which is great. And so, obviously, capital improvement plans. We did the big items this year with the golf carts and the golf course maintenance equipment, but we still have Hole 5 drainage that we'll co-op with the city, that we're working with the city manager on. Tennis courts, resurfacing and LED lighting on the courts up by the clubhouse is on the list. Additional landscaping, additional signage improvements. Again, we just keep moving the asset forward and keep taking care of it. I hope these pictures will do it justice. Chuck Smith here, the golf course superintendent, his limited staff have done an unbelievable job on this golf course. The golf course conditions have been just phenomenal this year. That's the result of a stent measurement, which if anybody is aware of that, is how fast the greens are. A really fast green is 12. And that one is 13.6 or 12.7, almost 13. Yeah, so, and you can just look at the condition of that green. They've done a really, really nice job. We always do this because it's just special here.
That's perfect. Love that.
Is the flag for July 4th. So, it's been a challenging year, obviously. We had 6 weeks of impact. To date, through August, we are just shy of $5,000 short of our annual operating budget, even with the 6-week impact. And based on where we are through September, we should meet or exceed budget for this fiscal year, even with the loss of close to probably a little over 4,000 rounds of golf. So we've made a really nice comeback in the last 90 days, obviously with the goal of continue pushing it forward and trying to take care of it and operate as efficiently, with the city's best interest from a cash standpoint and a business in mind. So we appreciate the opportunity to look after it. It's a special place. It's doing really well. And obviously answer any questions that you have.
David, real quick, because I know members of council get it from time to time, and you and I have discussed, it's really not a budgetary thing, but talk about PGA and their recommendations, while we're still single cart, but allow, and that transition. If you could talk real quick through that, just so council's aware.
Right, the PGA has put out guidelines for the COVID-19, which is 3 phases. We're currently in phase 2 of that phase, which is still single cart, allowing if necessary or if asked. And so we do have how many dividers did we purchase? We purchased 24 dividers for the golf carts to allow us to try to get more cart usage out. We get a lot of requests for single carts, and right now we are absolutely allowing that and letting that happen. Does it impact the business some? It does, but we feel like it's the right thing to do. We're following the PGA guidelines there. 3.0 for the PGA is really when we get back to normal, and that's tournament operations, shotguns, doubling up in carts, etc. They have not released phase 3 yet. But as a company, we're following that because every county, every city, every state is a little bit different, and we operate in multiple states. So we're using that as our guideline right now. But the good news is with the new carts have made a significant difference for us as far as to be able to play more rounds of golf. That's been the game changer since those came in. So we appreciate council's and the city's support to allow that to happen.
I'll never understand why somebody will drive up from Myrtle Beach or Columbia or Florence in the same car for 4 or 5 hours and ask for a separate cart when they get here.
That's right, and it happens every day.
I know. I've witnessed it myself.
It happens
So
every day.
now I didn't know that about Valentine. Who's our competition now?
From an event standpoint, we're it.
So Fort Mill?
Great. Fort Mill, Springfield, obviously, always are our main competitors.
How are our rates compared to theirs?
Our rates are lower, significantly lower. They raised their rates. We've stayed pretty steady. They are now $75, $80.
75.
Yeah.
75 for the weekend, 68 for Friday, and we're 62 through the weekend and 51 during the week. Those guys are a lot more than what we are right now.
And our course is in better shape.
And our course is in better shape.
Never seen it
yeah.
look so good.
I mean, obviously, we don't want to be way off the grid.
Right.
But we want to be the better value.
Right.
And that's worked, and it will continue working, because this golf course is, for what this team is doing, the staff is phenomenal condition. And the residents and non-residents are seeing that, and they're coming.
So is there any tee time limits right now? None? You
No
can play
tee time limit.
until it gets dark or whatever.
Yep, no limits. We're all good.
How's the Cove doing?
Very well. Now, obviously, we're a little limited on what carts we can put on the Cove because we need them for the main 18, but we are releasing them later in the day. But golf course Cove condition-wise,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last one. The Cove is what?
from a condition standpoint is really, really good. And that's obviously with the upgrades that you all voted to approve for the irrigation system has made a huge impact.
Very good.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, keep it up. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you all
Chuck.
so
Keep
much.
up the good work.
We
It's never
appreciate
looked
it.
better. It's never looked better. I drive by every day.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. All right, on to item 3, public comments. We got 3 people signed up. Let's start with Tom Heislip. Tom, please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
All right, good evening. Tom Heislip, 11156 Turtle Bay Court. Fairly new resident, been here a couple months. And one of the things that occurs up in upstate New York is what they call a ring of fire. Around Chautauqua Lake, I believe it is, all the residents on Labor Day light up a fire on the waterfront properties. And I got pictures I'll leave if you want to see them. So one of the things, I've talked to friends here, we thought it'd be really neat to do here, especially during the pandemic, because there's not a lot going on, but it's a real beautiful event. We thought maybe it's something the town would be interested in just advertising as part of maybe the holiday or Christmas celebration, and partnering potentially with Rock Hill and Lake Wiley to see if, just get the information out to the residents, It's a no-cost event, just something cool to do and look at. That's it.
So this is something individual residents would just go down on their beach and
And light
start
a
a fire and
Yep. If they
on a
don't have fire,
specific
you
day?
can- A lot of them set a flare. They do it early evening, so you can see it's dark, you can see it, you know, if you drive by. It's
Like
just
on
a whole-
Christmas, or the night before?
Probably not Christmas Day. I'd anticipated, I mean, you could do it whenever you wanted.
Yeah.
We haven't really thought of a date. We
Okay.
were just thinking, I know that town in the past, or the city, excuse me, has had Christmas celebrations, maybe that evening, or,
Okay.
you know.
So do you have a group organizing this that we can kind of contact and?
2 people.
Okay.
And they had done
Sounds-
it during Labor Day, right?
Yes.
The current one? Okay.
Current one, they do
right.
it Labor Day in
Yeah,
upstate.
yeah, Brad had sent me a couple pictures, so it looks
Oh,
really
you
yeah.
did one during
Yeah.
Labor Day?
They do it Labor Day in upstate New York.
Uh-huh.
You know, in the winter, it's probably.
Well, it's already
hard to light a
snowing
fire.
then, right?
Exactly. So being the south, we could do it, you know,
Okay,
Christmas
well,
time.
I'm very interested. It sounds good. I live on the lake. I'll throw a fire out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's see it.
Mayor, I would encourage them to have a conversation with Chief Hasty
Yeah.
as they work through details, and then
Oh,
after
yeah,
that.
Chief's over there going.
And then, once they get details worked out, they can.
I saw the chief break out in a sweat as soon as he mentioned, build a fire on your beach.
And then we
I guess
can
we have to
work on
have burning
helping put it
permits for
out.
that. No, you don't have to, if you just have a fire pit, right? Yeah, in a fire
Flares.
pit. Flares.
I like the flare idea.
Yeah, I know in upstate, I was reading about their event, a lot of the properties, if they don't have a full fire pit, they'll just do a flare and stand there with it and then put it out. And again, we're not asking for anything from the city, other than
is really cool.
potentially
Well, count me
posting
in.
it on their website or something.
I'll do it.
But, cool, that's it. So anyways,
I'm
we'll.
poor,
let you
I don't
know,
live on
find
a
out.
lake.
Pass along more information, that's all I had.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, next will be Chris. State your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Chris Carish, 370 Calming Way. Unfortunately, I'm here to talk about the Trinity Point runoff again. But I've got some questions tonight, so I'd just like to start by asking, who hired HEPACO to vacuum the sediment when they did that test?
The city brought the contractor in, the developer funded.
So the city decided to hire HEPACO. Is that right?
The city got quotes from multiple pump back companies. Tom Goebel oversaw that project.
And who suggested that vacuuming the sediment was the right way to go?
It's just an idea that we decided to try to see if we could help.
Okay, and what permits were required to vacuum that sediment out of the lake?
I did never see that project. I don't have all these answers at this time.
You can email it to him?
If he emails me the list of questions, we'll be happy to work on getting him a response.
Okay, and well, why was it done? Why did you decide to do that?
Because of complaints and concerns raised by yourself and Mr. Becker. The city has attempted to try to assist to see what could be done and see if there was a solution to try to remove some of that sediment that was impacting the lake at that point.
Okay, another question is, who measures turbidity at the city when we report these runoff issues?
It's comments, not questions.
Well, it might be better to email these in, because I don't think we have all the answers to that. If you can email it in, and that way you get it back in writing.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, however we got to do this. I guess my comment would be that I've seen engineering reports trying to show that it's not the responsibility of the developer at Trinity Point as to these issues, okay? And we're at a point now where something has to be done. This gets worse every single rain event, all right? Every single one. I'm sending videos, I'm uploading YouTube videos, showing where these issues are coming from, and nothing's done, right?
Yep, you're right.
So if we can't get the city or the developer to do something here, we're left with limited options, right? The next is the legal path. I don't want to go down that path.
Sure. Don't we have do you have DHEC coming in this week? Or next week? To help another set of eyes? Well, I think we'll hear that in a minute from Mike, I think.
So let's say that the clay is not a drop of sediment came from Trinity Point, okay? Let's say none of it came from there. It's all due to erosion. The engineer report is correct. The clearance of that land over there has clearly diverted enough water, okay, to erode a creek. So to me, that tells me that they are still responsible.
Yep.
So the other thing I would comment is that perhaps the city could coordinate a meeting between Trinity Point, okay, the city and the residents, so that we could talk about how we resolve this without having to go down the legal path.
All right, thank you very much. Mike, you're up. That's your timer. It'll beep on you.
All right. I can't see it, but,
You'll hear it.
Yep,
all
you'll
right,
hear it.
so Mike Becker, 364 Calming Way, 2 doors down from Mr. Councilman Machunas, and next door to Mr. Carish. This is my 4th time in 21 months to be here, and you know why I'm here. Mr. Carish already spoke to it. I hope everybody got copies of some photos I sent. And I did give one, don't touch them, they're hot, it's a smoking gun. Don't touch them. So here's by way of level setting, okay? This is the photo of in front of my house. And across the bay, if you look at the background, that's the, can you hear me?
Yes.
That's the beach club, okay, right there? And I put in, finally, because I'm not an engineer, but nobody's helping me, so I got to figure this crap out by myself. I put 3 PCV pipes up, one of them here, and then 3 of them across equidistant. So the farthest one out is at the end of Mr. Carish's dock, and the other one is, the other 3 are lined up about equal to where his dock makes a U. So the farthest one out, and this was done on January 18th, 2020, the lake level was 97.76. Number 1, the farthest one out, was 36 inches from the, when I pounded it in, 36 inches from then what was the lake bottom to the top of the pipe, and the rest of them were 24. This is a copy of, so January 18th of 2020. On February 6th of 2020, I went out and measured that 36-inch pipe. And after those rains on 2/6, there's only 29.5 inches showing. So I'm not very good at math, but I think that's about, 6.5 inches of new sediment from one rain. And this is only measuring stuff from when I put them in January, which was 13 months afterwards, and they'd already done a bunch of remediation. So if I already got that much then, it's a lot worse now, before that I can't measure. So that's out in the lake.
Is
Right
this
up
all
next to
taken
my-
the same lake level?
Huh?
Is this all taken with the same lake level?
It's from the bottom of the lake, whatever that is.
I mean, the
This-
lake, where at full
Water height
pond?
doesn't
No,
matter
no,
there.
it changed, but doesn't matter. I'm measuring not from the top of the water. I'm measuring from where the, right?
Got the floor.
So that is out, however far it is to the end of Mr. Carish's dock. This is a picture up by right next to the shoreline in front of my house, and you'll notice that there's a board there. That board has been there for a long time. We used it to get our kayaks out into the creek to go out paddle. And so you'll see that there's a bunch of sediment on there, right? So it was laid out on top at one time of what was at that point the bottom of the thing. And if you look at it now, it's probably 6.5 inches from the bottom of that board that was on top to the top, which is about 11.5 inches. So say 6.5, so there's 5 inches more sediment from the very get-go, right next to the shore. So it gets worse as you go farther out because it's just dumping it in there. Oh, I do it on time.
You're out of time.
I'm sorry.
All right, we got it. Thank you. I've talked to you many times and emails many
Yep.
times, so,
I asked what Mr. Carish asks. Will we have a mediation or something?
right.
Thank you.
Any comments from council?
Yeah, I'd like to comment. I don't think this is going to work now because I rode down Stonecrest Boulevard. But anyway, Thursday, when it was raining, and we never had a driving rainstorm, it was just steady all day. So I went and personally took a sample after all of Trinity's BMPs, about 20 feet before the culvert that runs under Stonecrest on the Trinity Point side of Stonecrest. And I took a sample, which I have here, and within a day, it settled with about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of sediment in the bottom. I understand the top is turbid water, but we don't know how turbid it is. Unfortunately, in driving down Stonecrest Boulevard, it shook back up again, so it'll settle again. You know, I made a promise before I ever ran that I was going to try and keep my eye on that, and y'all have heard me many times speak about how I feel about it. I talked to Russell Wilson with DHEC today to ask him some questions. You know, when this first started, when they put in their double row of silt fence with gravel, and it was very quickly overrun, I walked the property with Russell Wilson and with Tom Goebel, and Mr. Wilson pointed out a lot of shortcomings in their SWIP, is that what it's called, Charlie? In their SWIP plan. So a lot of modifications were made. They dug a retention pond and put in all kinds of other devices to supposedly stop that sediment from getting past what they had. It's not working. But more importantly, after several engineers have gone out there and looked, people have come to the conclusion that the erosion of the creek bed, specifically Reach 2, is what's filling in the lake. I change oil and wash cars for a living. I'm not an engineer, okay? So all I know is what I see. I know what the lake looked like before Trinity Point started cutting down trees, and I know what it looks like now. I've seen the Carishes be able to drive a boat to their dock, and now they can't, even when the lake's at 98, 99. I've seen the island form behind Mr. Becker's house. So I talked to Russell at DHEC today, and I was asking pointed questions that had not come up before. I said, so if the creek bed is the problem, is whoever owns that portion of the creek bed responsible? And he said, well, not if it's a naturally occurring erosion. Okay. I said, well, what if the majority of the problem is simply the volume of water that comes from that job site, which is exponentially greater than it was before they clear cut it? I said, are they responsible for the damage that that water causes? And he says, well, someone is. And I said, well, who? So he talked about the developer having to hire an engineer to come up with a plan. And he said there's all kind of calculations that go into the plan as to how much water is going to come off those surfaces and all those things. And he said once he puts his PE stamp on it, he's saying that this is going to work. And he said at that point, that plan is given to the MS4 over that, which would be the city, and that the city has to look at it and decide whether that plan will work. And, you know, he said when DHEC is MS4 over a project, they have a team of engineers that look at everything. I said, all right, well, if it didn't work, who's responsible? DHEC said the MS4 is responsible. They have a team of people that they audit plans, and they come out and take measurements and do this, do that, do whatever. I don't know what the solution is here. I know that's what Russell, that's not his division of DHEC, but that's what Russell told me this morning. I don't know if the engineer for Trinity is responsible because he didn't put a plan in place to control that water, or I don't know if the city's responsible because we approved a plan that allowed that much water to come through and erode that creek bed. What I do know is the dirt wasn't there. The dock was usable. There wasn't an island behind Mr. Becker's house. The creek bed had not eroded several feet in all directions before Trinity Point started building. So I don't know, where's the answer? Who is responsible? I mean, I was elected to represent the citizens of TKK. I think that's what I'm doing right now. The cove is filling in, and it's filling in because of the volume of water coming off of there, inadequate BMPs in place. I don't know. Like I said, man, I run a service department for a car dealership. I'm not an engineer. I just know what I see. And I know I don't like it, and I know I promised to try and do something about it, and I'm ready to do something about it. I don't have the answers. I don't have the solution. That's not my thing. But I just know what he said today. So I feel like it's time that, whether it's getting together with all the parties involved and try and find a solution, I'm looking for a way out. I'm looking to clean up this mess. I'm looking to get this dirt out of Lake Wiley and find a way to do it as quickly and efficiently and as inexpensively as possible. But I feel like something has to be done more than hiring another engineer to come look at it, and nobody's willing to point a finger, although Russell pointed a finger today. Thank you.
Just for the record, Gus lives next door to Mr. Koresh, right? And then you're next to them, so he sees it every day. He's lived it every day for the last, how long has it been going on?
Over 2 years.
2 years now? 21 months. All right. Any other comments from council? All right, thanks, guys. It's ongoing. We're still trying to get it solved. We will get it solved sooner or later. Okay, that closes public comments. Let's move on to item 4, which is the approval of minutes. Council, you've read and looked at the minutes. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes? Hearing none, the minutes stand as published. Item number 5 is committee reports. First is Economic Development Commission.
We met, had some good discussions about some proposed things, possible changes to what's going to happen over at Game On. Had some lengthy conversations about that. Looked at various ideas to try and bring things to the city. We did talk about food trucks and a place for them to do things again, possible food halls off into the future. I knew I should have written it down.
It's that age thing.
It is that age thing. And we looked at some ideas to try, our Shore Club, which does an amazing job with the Glennon Center, unfortunately with COVID, they've lost all their events, or not all, but most of their events. And we looked at ways that we could help attract events that we could have to bring some business into the Glennon Center and help him make up for some of that revenue and promote his place while still maintaining social distancing and whatever guidelines the governor has placed in front of us that seem to change whenever they decide to change. So that was about it.
Thanks, Gus. Alicia's planning, is that right?
Hey, yep.
Do you want to make any
you.
comments, or you want to wait till next time?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make them. Thank you, Mayor, members of council. The Planning Commission did meet on September 14th and primarily discussed 2 ordinances before us this evening regarding poultry and livestock, followed by fences in residential and park districts. A lot of work and research has gone into reviewing both of these ordinances over the past several months. The commission has listened to public feedback where we've had residents come and share some of their thoughts and concerns around both of these items. And the Planning Commission has taken this into consideration in developing the recommendations, which were earlier outlined by Commission Chair Chris Leonard, as he highlighted this evening. So I'd like to, recommend consideration of those. And just note to everyone out there, our next meeting will be Monday, October 5th at 6:30 in the bottom of the Glennon Center, and welcome all members of the community to join us.
Thank you much. Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
All right, that closes the committee reports. Let's move on to new business. Item number 6A. This is introduction of the first reading of an ordinance to provide for the budgets of the city of TKK for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021, to provide for the receipt and expenditures of funds. This is the first reading of an ordinance necessary to set the budgets for fiscal year 2020-2021 that were presented by the city manager during the required public hearings held at the regular city council meeting on August 17th, 2020. There is no millage increase included in the coming fiscal year for how many years in a row now? 12. 12 years in a row we haven't raised taxes. Can we get a hand for that? No, I'm just kidding. All right, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, a motion to approve the introduction and first reading of an ordinance to provide for the budgets of the city of TK for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021, to provide for the receipt and expenditure of funds and other matters related hereto.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
Second by Ryan this time. Any questions before we vote? Can you hear us, Alicia?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 She's an aye. It's unanimous. All right, let's go to, are we doing B? Charlie?
Yeah.
All right, Chris Leonard's coming back. Find B, okay, Chris?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Two recommendations regarding the amendment to the zoning code, section 19165, permissible uses and specific exclusion. Two specific things there. We recommend that we adopt section 19-16, which is the new definitions as written, and that we adopt the changes to section 19-165 with one change. In section G2, there's wording that requires a certification. We want to make it just be the certificate, that it require a certification. We're removing at the request of the South Carolina Beekeepers Association that it be from SCBA. It could be from that, but we're making that not a requirement. So we make that recommendation. Otherwise, we recommend that you adopt that as written.
Okay.
And the second thing is regarding the changes to section 19-401 fences. We're going to take into account some of the public input received, input we'll get from staff and council. At our next meeting, we'll redraft those regulations, and we would like to see them on the agenda for first read at your October meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so all these are going for public comments next time or for public information next time? You're putting it out to the public is what I mean, right?
On the fence regs, yes, sir. That public hearing's already done. Planning Commission will kind of wrap that up at their next regular scheduled meeting in October. It'll be available for y'all for first read at your October regular meeting.
And it's going to be published somewhere where everybody can see it?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay, Chris,
Okay,
thanks.
Thanks.
That's all we have to do with B for right now, Charlie? Yes, sir. All righty, that's what I like to hear. Move on to 6C. This is introduction and first reading. No, we're not doing C.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
We have to vote on it now.
Gotcha. My brain's like his, only older. This is introduction and first reading of an ordinance to amend the zoning code, Article 10, Section 19-165, permissible uses and specific exclusions, animal regulations. Due to the growing emphasis on the reduction of industrialization production of meat and eggs and interest in urban agriculture and various complaints regarding regulation of control thereof, City Council directed the Planning Commission in March 2020 to work on an amendment to Ordinance 77, which is our zoning code. Planning Commission has developed and is proposing a zoning text amendment to regulate the keeping of poultry, domestic fowl, and honeybees, and prohibiting the raising and sheltering of livestock within the municipal boundaries. Clear? We've talked about that already, right? Are there any questions anywhere? All right, let's go for a motion.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the introduction and first reading of an ordinance to amend the zoning code, Article 10, Section 19-165, permissible uses and specific exclusions, i.e. animal regulations.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
Second by Ryan Richard, 2 in a row.
On it.
Can you hear Alicia okay?
Yep. I'm good.
Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Oh, it's unanimous. Let's go to 6D. Just consideration of encroachment agreement for 16035 Samoa Court. The property owners at 16035 Samoa Court have requested an encroachment onto city-owned property for the purpose of installing a fence. The city-owned property is adjacent to the cart path, but the encroachment area does not interrupt golf activities and does not interfere with the cart path. Can we hear more about this, Charlie?
Yes, sir. The Tims have been maintaining the area. You
Oh,
can
this
see
is
on the
Bobby's.
survey, there was an old cart path that went through the backyard. The new cart path is down below a retaining wall. They've been maintaining the area between their yard and the top of the retaining wall. They're requesting to put a fence out to that retaining wall. Met with the golf course, golf maintenance staff. They're excited about it, have no issues with it.
Didn't
So-
we grant him something once before, right?
We've done encroachment before, but not with,
Fence.
not here, no, sir.
No,
But
good.
y'all have
Yep.
considered other
Yeah,
encroachment
I remember
agreements
now.
before.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, motion to approve the encroachment agreement for 16035 Samoa Court and authorize the city manager to execute said
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alicia. We
She
got
wants
you.
to get on the, she wants
almost-
her name on there.
All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 It's unanimous. Bobby owes a round of drinks. Okay, 6E. That won't be hard to do, yeah. All right, 6E, new business, consider of encroachment agreement for 3364 Mandrake Court. The property owners at 3364 Mandrake Court have requested an encroachment onto city-owned property for the purpose of installing a fence. The property owners have been maintaining this section of city-owned greenway for several years and would like to fence it in. The walking trail going down Gardendale Road is in proximity of this area, but the requested encroachment area does not interfere with this trail. Pretty plain?
It's about 20 foot away from the trail, so still a good bit of open space in between the trail and where this fence would be.
Now, when we grant an encroachment, who owns the property?
City still does.
Still does,
We've
okay.
just given them the
right to
legal
use it.
rights to put that fence there.
Bob's
But the
nodding
city
his head
still
like
owns the
that's-
property.
He's got good attorney speak now, doesn't he? All right. All right. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, a motion to approve the encroachment agreement for 3364 Mandrake Court and authorize the city manager to execute said agreement.
I have a motion up second from, oh, you got beat this time, Alicia, by Gus Mucinas. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. And that's it for item 6. Now we go to city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'll try to be brief. Just a reminder, next Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, special council meeting for the second and final read of the budget ordinance. We've got to get that in before September 30th.
That should take 10 minutes.
If that. Yes, sir.
3. I got 3. Second.
So just a reminder on that. We'll do that 7 o'clock here on the 29th.
Walt, you gonna be here? Okay, just checking.
City Hall did reopen the week of Labor Day to the public. We are keeping it no more than 2 persons in the lobby because that is a small lobby area. We're not getting a whole lot of foot traffic. A notice that will be going out in the utility bills with the next round of bills. Excuse me. If you absolutely insist on coming into City Hall and paying cash, we will credit your account unless you have exact change. So if you owe $19 and you pay us $20, we'll credit your account $1. So either pay with a card, pay with a check, pay online, pay over the phone, drop a check in the drop box. If you come in with cash, we're not giving you change. We'll just put that change towards your
We ought to
towards your
designate,
next
if
bill.
you don't like that, you call Ryan. I've got plenty of
So
calls.
that
call you
notice is, that notice is going out in the bills and will be on the utility social media stuff. As council's aware, we have canceled Fall Festival due to the governor's most recent executive order concerning crowds and gatherings. It's unfortunate, but we're definitely looking forward to 2021 and being able to do all of our concerts and everything else. We're still planning on doing the tree lighting. Visit with Santa is probably going to be up in the air. I don't know that Santa wants all the kids coming and sitting on his lap this year, but we're definitely still going to light the tree. So working with Joey through what those details will look like, and we'll get those pushed out as soon as we can. Speaking of Joey, fall sports are well underway. If you haven't been past one of the fields, especially on a weekend, you may not be aware of that. I'd like to thank Joey and our programmers, Dustin, Walker, and Andrew, for doing a great job coordinating and getting all that done. Not sure what this fall was going to look like. They've crammed as many games into the month of September, I think, as they could possibly get, just in case there was a shutdown. But so far, so good. Everything's going really well there. Some other good news. We will be getting a reimbursement any day now off of the CARES Act from the state. little over $100,000, and that covers COVID expenses that we've incurred up through the end of July. So we'll get another one here in a few weeks. Thank you to Bob Barkin and Dana Overlay for helping track all that, and our department heads for keeping it straight. Bob found out on Thursday of last week, should be getting a check this week for $101,000 and change in
Bet that made
reimbursement on
Bob's
COVID
weekend.
expenses. Do
But
what?
he was really excited about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And last, I'll end on another high note with the budget. As of last week, we've had 127 impact fees for this fiscal year, which is great because next year we only budgeted for 120. We didn't think we were going to get to 110 this year. So things have really picked up here in the last month and a half, which is great. Our business license and permit revenue are going to meet or exceed budgets for this projected year. And H-Tax, we're either going to hit the mark or finish just $6,000 below what we had projected for this year.
Very good.
So really rebounded over the last month and a half. I think you heard David Taylor say that about golf. The H-Tax dollars that have been coming in from our food and beverage folks really have jumped up June, July, August. So really excited about that. Gives us some positive hope for next year.
Can you give us an update real fast? We talked about earlier on the crosswalk.
So the study was, the one on TK Drive?
Yes.
So the study was completed. RFATS has approved the funding. We have paid our 20% matching funds for what I'm quite positive is going to be the world's most expensive flashing crosswalk.
It will be.
The SCDOT going through their federal highways, checklist are estimating sometime around February, March, I believe. Wasn't that correct, Heather, on the last email we saw?
we'll
That
just
they'll
say
be
May.
installing that. So, yeah, so might as well say May.
So we started this, would have been 2 years.
It'll be, yeah, so.
Okay, so I just want to let people know that
Spring, 2.5 years.
we're not dragging our feet. I get asked all the time.
Right.
When you work with the state, especially Department of Transportation, things just take a while. They're a very big bureaucracy, and everybody's got a job up there. They got to dot their i's and cross their t's up there.
But it will be the in-pavement, in-road.
It'll be the most
It's going to be pretty
incredible
cool
crosswalk
once
there
it's
is.
done. So
And we only paid how much of that? 20%?
20% of the total costs.
Which is still
And I think the total
way-
cost is like $190,000.
Really?
Yeah, it was insane.
For a crosswalk?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I thought it was like 50.
Well, it's not for the crosswalk. It's for all the bells and whistles that are going to be on the
Good
side of
Lord.
the crosswalk. It's a lot.
And then since Tim's here, what upgrade about the courts down there, the resurfacing or the lights,
Yep. You talking about with the lower tennis courts?
and the bathroom especially?
Bathroom, I think, is scheduled for this week to get a little TLC, get a few upgrades, LED lighting, fresh paint, things of that nature, change out the sink in there, the LED on the court. The electrician's been notified. He's trying to arrange bucket truck where he can get up there and get that changed and figured out
Trees
as
already
to
been
why that went
trimmed?
out. They've started the tree trimming. I know they're doing more tomorrow. Between ball field work and everything else, they're just hitting it as they can. But they've already started to make some improvements down there and will continue. The crack filling and whatnot, we're on the list with the contractor, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get to us until March.
Yeah. So
But
that
we
is
are
what it
on
is.
the list
It's not
to
as
get
bad
it
as
done.
DOT. It won't take 2 years, but I guess
Yes.
this is the best court resurfacing company there is that everybody's been asked for. Court One, everybody
Yeah.
says, please use Court One. So
It's the same one that
we're
actually
using
did the
Court One, and
resurfacing.
they're booked. Everybody uses Court One. So,
Yep.
all right. Any questions for City Manager? All right, Ryan. Thanks, Charlie.
I'm quick and easy as usual. Continue to get out, support local business, guys. H-Tech's revenue shows that we come together as a city to ensure we take care of our small business owners. Support your police, fire, EMTs, all those guys that are out there. Politics are polarizing. It's not hard just to be a good human and do what's asked of you. Sometimes it's easier just to be nice. We're all allowed to have different opinions, and I'm sure everybody sees in their social media feeds it gets a little crazy out there. So just be a good human.
Thanks, Alicia. You want to say something?
Yeah, I just hate not being there tonight with everyone, but want to help fight the spread of illness. Stay at home and keeping my germs to myself. Hope that everyone stays happy and healthy.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Heather.
I just want to give a shout out to the Planning Commission and their work on both the animal regulations and the fencing. Looking forward to your updates on the mixed-use development standards and moving forward with that so that we can get these large parcels of land the way we want them to be going forward. I also had on mine too was thank you to Joey and his team for their hard work with Parks and Rec. All the families out there, we spend literally our entire weekend, every weekend now, on those fields. And so, everybody's enjoying themselves, having a great time. And weather was great this last weekend. I want to give a shout out to them also for the concert on the lake. I am the poor one. I don't live on the lake, nor do I have a boat, but my neighbors do. So I got to go, and it was really, really a good time. It was a great show. And then my last question is to you, Charlie. Do you have an update on the water tower? I thought there was a thing that was supposed to be painted by now.
They've got it painted inside and out. I am told as of today that starting tomorrow, we're going to start seeing things on the outside. So,
So it won't look
it
like
is-
the Death Star?
Do what now?
Nothing?
Yes.
Yes.
It's got
Correct,
both
the Death
doors
Star.
open. I don't know
Yes.
if you noticed.
Oh, I haven't. They're
The top
airing it
door
out?
and they're airing it out.
Yes.
That'll
Did
be
you
great.
guys choose which portrait of Dave's going on the side of that?
The back side of me,
Yeah.
which is my best side.
Okay, cool. Great. That's
Okay.
it.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I too would like to thank the Planning Commission for all your hard work. One thing, we pushed it out on social media today, and I'm gonna have to give credit, and I'm sure she's watching, Sue Galaski. The census, everything, funding that comes our way comes from the census. Charlie and Joseph put out some stuff today, which is pretty cool. TKK is at, what was it, 91%? But we're so far and above where everybody else is. But if you have not filled out your census forms yet, unless they extend it, the deadline is the end of the month. So make sure you do. Everybody needs to be counted. It's very important to us. The Ring of Fire idea, I really, really like that.
Me too.
Chief, be thinking about how we can safely do that. But these pictures are really cool. That
Yeah.
would be some amazing drone footage, and I think it'd be a really fun thing to do, as long as we could figure out a way to do it safely and you not have a heart attack trying to get around us planning it. I really like that idea. It was nice. The other thing is, sorry, I know I get really long-winded when it comes to this situation with the sedimentation in the cove, but I'm ready to try and find a solution. There's got to be a way to fix it, and I'm ready to find a solution. Thank you.
Thanks, Gus. I'll just say I'm last, so everybody's already said everything. Thanks to planning, Parks and Rec, police and fire. You guys are killing it. Just way to go. Keep doing it. And then, of course, the water concert. I got a little late. I was there a little late, and it was hard to get in there. It was so many people. So it was a big success. I got a lot of comments about people liked it, but I think more people want to get back into the park if they can. So that was a nice thing to try because we didn't have any other choice. But if we can get back in the park, that's what we want to do. We want to return to normal as fast as possible. And with that, that's all I have. I make a motion to adjourn. Have a second? Second. And everybody says no. We don't. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Ryan's got it. It's unanimous. Thank you. Good night.